Hello, everyone. I'm Anthea Mulakala, and I'm the co-lead of the Asia Foundation's Future Skills Alliance. Today, I want to talk to you about an urgent need, future-proofing skills in the Asia-Pacific region. At the Asia Foundation, we are committed to delivering future skills at scale to underserved communities. We foster collaboration between governments, private companies, and nonprofit organizations, harnessing collective resources to amplify our impact and reach those disproportionately impacted by the digital revolution. One persistent issue we face is the global gender gap in STEM, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. In the Asia-Pacific region, this lack of gender equity is most apparent in engineering and information technology education, where only 21% and 29% of tertiary graduates are women. To address this, we have created the STEM ConnectHER program. This initiative supports and empowers young women, fostering diversity and inclusion in STEM through mentoring, learning responses, and a peer-to-peer regional community of women in STEM. Here's how we're making a difference. First, we're investing in the future. STEM ConnectHER prepares young women for careers in critical fields, driving innovation and economic growth. Second, we're bridging the gender gap. We're tackling the underrepresentation of women in STEM, creating a more equitable and diverse workforce. Third, we're nurturing talent. We recognize the immense potential of young women in STEM and provide them with the resources and support to succeed. And we're building a pipeline. STEM ConnectHER inspires and motivates young girls to pursue STEM education and careers, ensuring future generations of women leaders. Join us in our mission to empower women in STEM. Together, we can build a more equitable future. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Arina Dafir, Community Affairs Manager for Microsoft. We're excited to be part of this important initiative because closing the STEM gender gap is a significant step towards a more equitable society. It is our hope that through this program, we help knock down barriers for young women to thrive in a STEM career through access to mentorship, training, and networking. For young women considering a career in STEM, my advice would be keep an open mind. There are multiple pathways to enter, explore, and be successful in this field.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon or good morning, depending where you are. Welcome to the first couple of attendees who have made it into our webinar, into our session. We're waiting for a couple more, but I think in the interest of time, we could get started. So first off, we've all gone through this during the start of our use of Zoom, but can everyone hear and see us? Give us a thumbs up or just put in the chat. We want to hear from you guys, from everyone in the room. Are we coming in audible? Let us know. Yes, okay. All right, thank you so much. Great audience participation. We're off to a great start. And I think to cap this off, to start this off, we are looking towards welcoming all of the rest of the participants. So we'll just give it a couple of minutes. But let me introduce myself. My name is Patrick Bolaños. I am a Regional Program Officer of the Asia Foundation, calling you from Manila. I am also joined by our speaker today. You'll find out more about her later. We have Deepti and we have Nadia, who is the director of the Future Skills Alliance. So we will be hearing from our wonderful panelists today to understand more about how purpose has really influenced the way that we see our growth, especially in the digital economy. So, to get us started, I'd like to introduce Nadia Subramaniam, who is the director of the Future Skills Alliance, who would give us a better idea of what this initiative is all about. So, Nadia, over to you. Oh, your audio.
Yep. Thanks so much, Patrick, and pleased to be here and to welcome all of you to our session today, Purpose, the Compass for Your Career. And I'm sure everyone is really excited to listen to Deepti, but perhaps I'll share with you a little bit of overview about the Asia Foundation and the work that we do. The Asia Foundation is an NGO that has a presence in 20 countries across the Asia and the Pacific. We have deep local knowledge spanning more than 70 years. The kind of areas that we work in support education and leadership, empower women, look at economic opportunity, and strengthen governance. And the programs that we run span across countries, some regional programs, and also some national programs. So the Future Skills Alliance is a kind of a collective impact platform that we have for our digital skilling work. So what we do is we try to better support and enable the participation of underserved communities and generally everyone in the digital economy. And this not only is about improving opportunity, but also in terms of improving resilience. So we have some programs that focus on supporting small businesses, like Accelerate My Business. We do have some programs that work on improving economic outcomes or employment outcomes, like Skills to Work. And we also have some programs that focus on resilience. This APEC Cybersecurity Fund focuses on cybersecurity across the region. And we do all this work in close partnership with our corporate partners and also with partnership with governments and other NGOs. All right. So specifically to STEM ConnectHER, I think most of you have attended some of our other webinars, but just to share with you, we had a great year last year and we're looking at a great year this year too. Last year, we had 47 in-person events across 5 countries. And generally, we look towards increasing the participants' knowledge, confidence, and networking. So you must be familiar with some of our speaker series and our webinars, but we also have in-person mentoring, peer-to-peer networking. We're really proud of organizing some workplace tours to some of the most coveted workplaces across the region, and also preparing learning resources. And that's either available online on the platform, and sometimes we do have workshops. Let's say, I think the photo above is an AI workshop in Korea that we had last year. And all this comes with certificates and badges that you can use, put it on your LinkedIn, or just kind of keep it to make sure that you're looking at your progress over time. So like I said, I'm very happy to welcome you not only to this webinar, but also to join the platform. So if you have a little time and you haven't done it already, Patrick will be sharing a QR code right now that allows you to join our network. Joining the network is free for anyone is able to join. And that's the kind of the starting point. Once you get onto the platform, you have this ability to look at all the resources that are available. There are mentors that you can kind of reach out to. There are also kind of all the recordings of the past speaker series that you can watch. So if you do have a moment, please do consider to sign up, and we will see you either at one of our in-person events, if your country is one of the countries that we have them this year, or at one of our next virtual events. So thank you so much, everyone, and I'll hand it over back to Patrick to introduce Deepti to you. Thanks.
All right, thank you so much for the overview, Nadia. Really helpful. And I would like to re-echo her invitation to join the STEM ConnectHER platform, get opportunities to get direct mentorship from our corporate partners, to stay in touch about future events. There's a lot that we're trying to make happen. As mentioned by Nadia, if not in your country, this is still very much open to everyone. So please take the time to scan the QR code or visit any of the links or reach out to us through the contact information here. And if you're not already done, we'll keep this in for a bit longer. But moving on with our session, we're about to get into the session proper. Now, before I introduce our speaker, I'd like to invite everyone. I know that there are a lot of questions that we have, and everyone is very much invited to share their thoughts, share their questions. But in order to be able to structure this properly, we might not be able to answer your question immediately, but do rest assured that we will make sure this is documented. We take note of your question so that we could properly address it at the open forum later on. So feel free to keep your thoughts, your questions, and clarifications on the chat or using the Q&A tool of Zoom. We'll collect this for further discussion later. But without further ado, I'd like to introduce our speaker. Deepti Skaria is a trained engineer and business professional who began her career in the pharmaceutical industry. She later moved into grassroots education and youth leadership and has worked across startups, corporates, and nonprofits. With over a decade in the education space, she now leads direct sales and key accounts at EvolveCareers, supporting young people in schools and universities globally to build the skills they need to thrive in the future world of work. Folks, please help me welcome Deepti Skaria. Over to you, Deepti.
Thank you so much, Patrick, and thank you, Nadia. And hi, everyone. It's really great to be here and to have you here. And I'm going to directly dive into the session. So just give me a second so I quickly share my screen. So I'm hoping you can see my screen right now. So today is all about unlocking your purpose and how you can start to shape your goals, think about your future with real intention. Now, you'll also hear powerful insights from leaders who've been where you are right now and have been able to find their direction. So they're going to share their stories with you. But by the end of this, I'm hoping that you would have started exploring, you would have started thinking about your values and purpose, and you'll have some tools in your arsenal so that you can start shaping that future with clarity and confidence. So that's my intention. And I want to start off with something very important because context matters. So building the context for this conversation, it's really important. So if you look at this slide, right now, only 22% of young professionals between the ages of 18 to 24 say that they have a clear sense of purpose. But 70% of university students say they want purposeful work. So that means the desire is there, but they don't know how to define it or where to begin. And employees with a strong sense of purpose are 4 times more likely engaged. So this means that if you have a sense of purpose, you're 4 times more likely to be engaged, 64% more likely to be fulfilled, and 54% more likely to step into leadership roles. And even more telling, 42% of Gen Z say they would choose purpose over a higher salary. All this to say that purpose is not just a nice to have, it's really powerful. And it's something worth exploring early before you lock into a path, which doesn't feel right to you. Now I invite you to scan this code and join us over on Mentimeter. I'm going to use this just for me to sort of engage with you and also for you to be able to share your thoughts and reflections comfortably. So you can either scan this code, log into menti.com and use the code over there, or there'll be a link in chat for you to join. So you should be able to see this question, which is, what words come to mind when you hear the word purpose, right? Remember, there's no right or wrong. I just want to get a sense of what you're thinking about when you hear the word purpose. So just drop in the words. It's completely anonymous, so feel very comfortable. So just go with your gut. Objective, Great, fantastic. Contentment, satisfaction, makes a change. So you can already see there's like a mix of words which mean different things. So contentment, fulfilling, resonance, goal, passion. And I'm sure there'll be others, who'll relate to some words which are already there. Inner drive, love that. Psychologically rich, absolutely. Reason. Now, I hope you do see the point that it can mean different things to different people. Keep it going, and we can take a look at it later as well. So this, you already have an idea, and you can see the words which are getting bolden means more of you think that in common. So a lot of you do associate your goal with purpose. Now, I want to share a little bit about what my purpose has been, right? Just about my journey. Personally, for me, it has always centered around one thing, which is the power of education and learning to change lives, right? I have seen how the right opportunity, the right course, or even the right conversation can unlock something in a person, and suddenly you're moving in a direction that you never thought possible. That transformation really matters to me. That's why I do the work I do. So I don't just just believe in helping people build careers. I believe in growth, right? I want to be a part of helping people, especially young people like yourself, to find the confidence and the tools to shape your own future. And I'll be honest, as you would have heard from my intro, right? It's not been perfectly mapped out. I started my career in the pharma industry as a management trainee, and my path has evolved. But keeping that purpose in the center has helped me make better choices. So the image you're seeing was a turning point in my life where I took that dive to start aligning my journey to what I believed was my purpose. I wanted to get into grassroots education. So this is me with the children that I taught in a low-income school in India for 2 years as a fellowship with Teach for India. And now I'm going to share some more stories with you, but also to set your thinking on the path that purpose is actually what can be your anchor during times of change, right? It's something which will help center you. It will help you reconnect you to what your why is. It'll help you answer the question, why should we keep going? It will fuel that internal motivation. So it can give you that long-term perspective and foster collective resilience. Now I'm going to share a voice of somebody who really inspires me with his work, which is Andy Coxell. He's the managing director of EvolveCareers. So let's hear what he has to say on purpose.
There are many ways you can set direction and go after what you want. You don't need to have a path for defined career steps anymore, because that's not how it works. Careers are no longer linear, A, B, C, D. But when you've been in a linear education system, it's easy to think careers work the same way, but they really don't. They're more like a river, meandering, or think of them as a bit squiggly. They go from A to B to C to D. You're moving around constantly. Or you can think of it as a climbing wall, with many different directions and twists you can turn as you climb up the wall. What you do need to understand is who you are and the energy to keep going when things get tough. So how do you do that? By finding your purpose and discovering your values. Now, this might not sound that groundbreaking, but purpose will energize you and values will help you understand what makes you happy and fulfilled. They might change with time, and so they should, because the more you experience and reflect, the more you discover about yourself. Think of it as an onion. You have to peel. So peeling back the layers of yourself, it is a really exciting thing to do. Obviously not the peeling the onion bit, but actually discovering things about yourself. It will serve you much better than blindly following someone else's ideas of what you should do in life.
What I love about what Andy said is that, careers don't have to be linear, right? And they rarely are linear. Also, that your purpose is what will help you energize you when things get tough, and values will help you understand what really matters to you, what really makes you happy, fulfilled, and proud. Now, let's start looking at some stories to see these values in action. Now, this is the story of Linda, and let's take a look at what she values in life. So she likes taking time off when and as she needs it. She likes to be able to make her own decisions. That means she's prioritizing freedom and flexibility. Now, as a result of this, the action that happened is Linda decided to take up, leave her full-time employment and take up her job or a role as an Instagram creator. So her story reminds us that when your values are clear, your choices also become clearer, even if they are unconventional. But this is not the only kind of story that exists. Let's take a look at Ricky. What are his values? Now, he values financial success, stability, predictability. So what did that mean? So he also liked being needed by others. So though he had he had a creative arts degree, instead of being a full-time artist, he found a role which gave him structure, right? So he worked as an account manager, juggles a lot of meetings in a day, and he also drives an Audi and, is on his way to becoming the director of planning. Now, his story is also to give you perspective that purpose does not have to look a certain way, right? It's not about saving the world or taking risk. It's about what drives you. There is no right version of purpose. It's only what is true for you. Now we're going to hear another voice of a leader. This is Riaz Shah, and he is a former global learning leader at EY. He's now a HALT professor, and he's an advisor to a lot of global organizations, right? Let's see what he has to say.
Change in the world and done something new. I do think it's the things such as curiosity and adaptability and experimentation that do set them apart. The other thing I tend to notice is that they're very resilient, that when things go wrong, they don't go, oh, that went wrong, okay, failure, never mind, I'll walk off. They try again, and they try a different way. Now, it's really difficult to be resilient about something if you're not really passionate about it. So I think the key thing is to figure out what is your purpose in life. Why do you exist? What are you here to really do? And that can take quite a while, by the way, figuring out why you're here on Earth and what's really going to excite you. But at least be clear.
I'm losing audio. I don't know if everybody else is.
Yeah, I think let me just.
Sorry. Sorry about that. Yeah, and yeah, I thought it was really interesting. He was sharing on like finding that purpose, right? And I mean, he was also sharing a little bit about how it's a little bit intertwined with other things, right? It's intertwined with resilience, and how a sense of purpose seems to drive the ability to be resilient. And the resilience helps you find your passion too, because it's not an easy thing, I think, to find your purpose. So that, I guess that's what he started talking about, and let's hear what he hit the end of his thought is. Sorry for everyone for the little technical glitch.
Yes, sorry about that, but yes, absolutely. So Riaz talks about, purpose becoming your fuel. That is something which will anchor you when you're going through difficult times, through times of confusion, right? What is that solid thing that you can hold on to? And that's what you want to explore. You want to figure out what is that fuel for you. Because if you're able to connect to something that really matters to you, it means that you won't quit easily. And taking it one step, before what we saw from, say, Linda as well as Ricky's stories is that, purpose is personal, and it's not about what looks impressive on the outside. It's about what energizes you in the inside, because that will be key to you being resilient. I'm actually going to move on to another voice again in this space. This is Alan, and he's led and shaped talent strategies for many top organizations like Visa, KFC, Estee Lauder across Europe, Americas, Asia. And he's going to talk to you a little bit about some big words like self-actualization and self-discovery. but these are also things which are very important and deeply personal. So let's hear from him.
So for me personally, self-actualization is really about understanding self and understanding who you are, what you like, what you don't like, what you're good at, what you're not good at, where you want to get to, not just in career, but in life. Like, what's your purpose? What's important to you? Is it family, which it is for most people? And so it's connecting a number of those things, and it's understanding self, it's understanding others, actually, because it's understanding how you operate in relation to others. It's understanding what impacts on others as well. So it's understanding, can you be annoying in certain way, or when can you be annoying, or when you have certain, what makes you be in a certain mood? Is it because you're not eating right, or what? It's understanding your moods, your mood swings, because we all have them, and it's understanding your impact on others. So I think that's the starting point, I would say. And by the way, this isn't a simple thing. This is a constant journey of self-discovery. And being very candid with you, I think I'm in a pretty good place when it comes to my element of self-actualization. But really, to be honest with you, it's only really culminated, I would say, within the last maybe 5 or 6 years, where I really feel I know who I am, I know my values, I know. So it's a journey. It's a journey. It's a journey. It doesn't end. And maybe it's possible I will still change, but I still feel very comfortable around my purpose, around where I want to get to in life, around my values, which I've talked to you about, and around what I want in life, and how does that intersperse? How does what I want in life intersperse with my career? How does that interplay between career and home? And what does work-life balance mean to me? Because, by the way, it's a different equation to everyone. You know? So some people think work-life balance is about, that 9 to 5 and then finishing. Other people, for me, I'm a bit of a workaholic, to be honest with you. But I don't mind. And for me, that's work-life balance, because I'm in harmony. So that's kind of what I mean by self-actualization. And the reason I say it's the key to happiness and life is, it's very hard to know how you should navigate things unless you really understand those fundamental pieces. And once you understand those fundamental pieces, that's how you can make better decisions around the type of job you want to pursue, the type of career you want to pursue, and frankly, as you're working in your career, the type of choices you need to make in order to get to your goal. I think it was really understanding my impact on others, understanding what I wanted for my career, and really that only crystallized in the last 5 or 6 years. I had very vague notions, and I probably hadn't spent enough time reflecting on things. And it was also, for me, I think it was about having the confidence to project who I am. And that takes time. It was having the confidence to project my values and to not be ashamed of them, and to not be shy about them, and to not be deferential to others, but to be very, very confident about projecting myself. And so that, I think, is a very important element for me. So, like I said, it's probably the last 5 or 6 years I've really gotten that. And I think partly it's just through the progression I've made in my career, and that my confidence has slowly but surely kind of gotten me to that point, I think.
Now, he's actually talking about something which sits right at the heart of our session, right? That journey of self-discovery and self-actualization, which is very, very personal. It doesn't happen overnight. It's a journey. And it's not just about your studies or your career. It's your whole life, right? And that is important for us to really go deeper, dig out and figure out those values and connect to the larger purpose that we want to align ourselves to. Moving on, I'm going to share another story, which is Yulia. In her stories, again, we're going to see how she uses her values to make certain choices for herself. So now, what does she value? She likes having meaningful work that she's really proud of. She likes to be able to make her own decisions. She likes being respected by her colleagues. And as a result of this, she ended up taking a decision which was to turn down a contract, which would have actually paid her half the rent, in just a day. Now, why did she do that? The problem was that the employer had unrealistic expectation. And if she did take up that job, what it would mean is that her quality of work would have been compromised. And it would have never made the kind of impact on the world that she wanted to. Right? So it is very key to shaping that meaningful path. Now that you know that, your values can also help you say no. It can give you that clarity. So even if it's uncomfortable, it can help you say that no. And that clarity is actually not very easy because there's always expectations from family, from society, and even ourselves, right? Sometimes we ourselves are our biggest opposition in this. But the time at your university is also the perfect time actually to pause and ask what really matters to me, right? And Amelia from Westpac is going to tell you a little more about that.
People are so driven by topping all their grades and being the most successful and getting that job, but like, why are you doing that? And I kind of clued on, I mean, I'm still guilty of, you're always like striving for something that you then like, why am I doing this? Who actually is, and I think it is kind of how you're brought up and your family and all of that, your background is, I mean, I'm Italian, migrant background, so it's the same, where it's kind of that you've got to, we're so lucky to be here and to have this opportunity, we need to make the most of it, which I think helps me because it gives me that drive, but then also it kind of gives you this unrealistic expectation of where you should be. So I think it's so important to be questioning, especially at university, why do you have that goal? Is that something that you want, or it's just like society's expectation? If so, what's society going to do if you don't fulfill it? Like so many of my friends as well, out of school went down a certain degree path. And I think this happens so often because this is what society thinks or what your parents think. And then they get halfway through and they go, I hate this. Or they do their degree and then they're in a job that they hate. So like, why are we just kind of going along this rat race and competing with everyone to do a job that actually isn't what we want to be doing and isn't why we want to be doing it? Which is then why I thought, well, if I do commerce or something really broad, I kind of can't, not knowing what I want to do. And in hindsight, I would have done a STEM degree. I would have done tech or something like that, computer science or engineering. But I would do something that's really broad that gives me that skill set. And then I can test and see, because how do you know at 18 what you want to do for the rest of your life? You can't. It's crazy to have this expectation of, by this age, I'm going to do this and get this job and be there, because it's probably not going to happen. And that's something that we need to be okay with. My thing was, I don't want to work so hard for 3-4 years and then not be successful and then have regrets for, I wish I did this, I wish I did that. I want to know that I know I put in, the hardest work I could do at that point. And you ultimately just got to be happy with that.
I think what Amelia says is very real, because it's so easy to fall into a pattern, right? Doing what is expected, chasing titles or security. But if it's not aligned with who you are, it is going to leave you feeling stuck or even miserable. So you can understand, after hearing from Amelia, why it's important to pause and reflect before you go down, a path, too far down a path and then realize that it's not right. So, which is why these questions, right? Your purpose, your values, setting your direction, they're not optional. They're essential. And wherever you're right now, particularly if you're at university, it does give you the right time, space, and freedom to actually start exploring them before the noise of the world gets really loud. So now we've been talking a lot about purpose, right? Let's start thinking on how we can actually explore them. And for that, it's important to think about your values, because these are what will help you build the foundation for your purpose. Now, I'm going to help you through these questions, and you don't have to do this right now, but these are some great questions to carry with you as you start this exploration of your value and your purpose. For example, you could analyze your subscriptions on social media, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok. What are the kind of people you follow and why do you follow them? What values do these accounts project? For example, maybe you follow a Matt Davella and maybe that's because you value simplicity and intentional living or personal growth. Or you follow Emma Chamberlain because you like authenticity or humor or creative freedom. So you could analyze this to actually figure out what are the values maybe which attract you, or what do people come to you for? what are the kind of people that you attract? Or what are the kind of people you admire? What values do you think they have? Maybe go back to the time you were a child. What were your interests then? Another way is asking some of your friends to describe what do they think your values are. Now, hypothetically, if you never had to work or work again, what is the one thing or the few things that will give you a sense of meaning? Now, it's important to note that there is no single question. There is not a magical question that you answer and it will tell you what your value or your purpose is. But all these together will reveal a pattern. It will, there are great prompts to show you what those patterns are in your values and purpose. But sometimes it also helps to get out of your head and think differently. I'm going to try to do sort of a fun way to do that. So there is something called as archetypes. So I'm going to share 6 universal roles that people will connect to. It's not because you think they are, but something about these roles you feel speaks to you, connects to you. So there's the gardener. I'm not going to tell you more about it. I just want you to look at it. Gardener, healer, ruler, knight, magician, and trickster. Right? And I'm guessing at least one or maybe 2 will click for you because there's something about it which feels familiar, energizing, or aspirational. So I'm going to invite you back onto the Mentimeter to share which is the archetype that you connect with or relate to. So I'm going to give you a few seconds. It just has to be your gut. Don't think too much into it. Instinctively, which is the role that you gravitate towards? Again, it's anonymous, so please feel to share. Great. I can see some of you connecting with what a healer, knight, gardener. Lovely. As you can see, people connect with different things. People are very different. Your purpose, your values are very personal. There is no right or wrong in this. This is just something to help you start thinking about what potentially could be the values that you gravitate towards, that attract you. Now, as you think, I'm also going to urge you to share 3 or even more qualities that you associate with the archetype that you picked. So it could be creativity, it could be humor, it could be leadership, it could be anything. So go ahead and share any qualities that you come to your mind when you take that thought a little more. Okay, I identified with a healer. Why do you think that is? Creativity, empathy, care, magicians, calling on the magicians and the gardeners as well. Resilient, nurturing, industrious, connections, helping, justice, wow. Determined, giving, being independent, curious, results driven. Keep that going. Keep that process, those juices, let it continue to flow, because that's what's going to help you think more about your purpose and values. I'm just going to spend a moment now to show you what these represent. None of this is set in stone, but it'll give you an idea of maybe if you've chosen something and you don't know why. I'm just going to flip these cards to tell you maybe these are something. So if you were a gardener, maybe you gravitated towards it because the values of patience and generosity and introspection and creativity. And maybe the purpose that I've stated here may connect with you, that you want to seek knowledge and understand and be generous with your time, energy, and resources. So I'm going to flip. I'm not going to read all of them, but I'm going to put it up here for you to see. so that you can maybe pick up certain values, and maybe the purpose statement helps you start building yours. So now on to the knight, magician, and trickster. So again, this won't give you all the answers and it's not set in stone, but it's a great mirror, right? It helps you start thinking about what is the kind of energy that I am drawn to and what is the kind of impact maybe I am meant to bring into the world, right? That's what is important here. Now, I'm going to also go to another fun exercise, which is a great way to, again, figure out what potentially could be your values. If you were a brand, I'm going to give you a few seconds. If you were a brand, what brand do you think you are? And these are just some brands for you to get started, just thinking on what kind of a brand you would be. And in the chat, we'll also put a link to the Times Top 100 companies. Maybe you can take a look at that. It's also give you the kind of idea of the kind of industry and the kind of organization that you gravitate towards. So I'm going to give you a second while you think this, because I'm going to ask you to share next, which are those few brands that you connect with. Because that helps you think about how your personal values, can connect with the kind of workplace culture or maybe the mission that these organizations represent. So again, let's head on down to Mentimeter and let's see what is the kind of brands that you think you connect with. And we've had some very interesting, brands that people have shared. I remember somebody sharing that, Baby Shark is something, a brand that represents them because it's fun. Or Calm, exactly. The Calm app, a lot of people, because, they feel it gives them that calmness and comfort and a sense of understanding. You don't have to be restricted to the ones I shared. Please feel free to share more. Nike, Lego, I love that. IKEA. And as you do this, I'm going to urge you to think about maybe what are the values that these brands represent, or what is it in their mission that is calling out to you, right? Because it does tell you about the things which matter to you. Because this is where you can start building that connection to your purpose. Is it creativity? Is it innovation, fun, freedom, service? If you like keeping the customer at the heart of it, it could be so many different things. I love it. It feels like a lot of people really connect to Substack. Patagonia, The Guardian, Poppy, Apple, Muji, Canva, lot I can see around creativity, innovation, Volvo, maybe safety, you like being stable. Amazing. So I'm really glad that you have taken your first steps into exploring what your values are, what really calls out to you, because that will then help you build that foundation of your purpose. I'm now, going to slowly wrap up, but I want to leave you with the purpose statements of some of the speakers whose insights I did share with you today. So this is Amelia. And when she thinks of purpose, this is what she shares. So she's on a mission to revolutionize customer satisfaction and engagement with cutting edge technology. And that explains her role and where she works. And that's where she gets joy from. Andy, as the CEO of edtech, he loves empowering students to become trailblazers in their future careers and be catalysts for social transformation. We heard from Alan, and for him, the sense of partnership is important. Trust, humility, empowerment, purpose of building and developing high-performing and diverse teams. Riaz, he loves using his passion for technology, education, entrepreneurship, and helping teams navigate through the ever-changing future of work. So I hope that you have been able to find maybe a phrase or an idea that resonates with you, or even start, to help you put down your thoughts into clearer words. So before I, wrap up and we open it for questions, I would love it if you could share an insight or a takeaway, that you are leaving today with. And I want you to remember that purpose is not a destination, it's a compass. So it's something that will keep guiding you. You just need to keep checking it. What is any insight, any takeaway that you feel, that you can take away from today about purpose? Okay, I'm going to leave it there and you can continue sharing as we go. Over to you, Patrick, to open it out for questions.
Thank you so much, Deepti. So much that we've taken away from this session. And I think everyone's just starting to put in their answers. So folks, please don't stop with your inputs, with your ideas. And I think we have a couple actually on the chat. Sri was able to share a couple of insights here. Let me just read it out loud. My value lifeline, rooted in gratitude, guided by honesty, driven by curiosity, and committed to giving more than I can take. My value lies not in attributes added, but in the integrity I carve through every action, striving to be a better version of myself and adding value to those around me. That's a beautiful sentiment, and it's really great to see that you've identified a lot of the things that resonate with you. And this is, as we mentioned, it's a ongoing thing about how these resonate in your everyday life. So that's really good guidance in sharing how it affects the decisions that you make and how you see your career panning out as well. Deepti, you want to weigh in on this? It's also on the chat, FYI.
Yeah, I think, sorry.
All right. We have it sorry, I've bombarded so many messages here, but yeah, it is. Oh, we have a question. We have a couple of questions coming in. We have one that was anonymously submitted. So let me just read this out loud before we go to Alias, who submitted just now. But one person asked, does your purpose change over the years as you mature, see, and experience more of life?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, it's a journey. It will change based on your experiences. It's not something that will happen overnight, and it's not going to be the same for everyone. It's not going to be the same all the time either. And it's absolutely okay for it to constantly change as you grow, evolve, and experience. That's my personal experience as well. And as you had heard, it's the same for a lot of leaders working globally. Would love to get your take as well, Nadia.
So the question
was, does your purpose change over the years as you mature, see, and experience more of life?
Yeah, and I think it's not about changing, right? But it's like adding to it, right? So and I think for me at least, I feel like it's that kind of the humility to accept that it will change and accept that you have to let go of some things and kind of move forward in another direction. And I mean, when I was reflecting as you were talking, Deepti, I was thinking about how we thought about in the past, at least, maybe my parents' generation, they think about looking for purpose after they've completed their career, right? Like after retirement, my father was like, I wonder what I'm going to do with my life now. not kind of thinking of that whole journey. And in our generation, it happens somewhere in the middle of a career. And you can see from your example, going from pharmaceuticals to education, right? And it's really quite, at least for me, it's quite inspiring to think that this is happening to our current generation much earlier. So before they even start thinking about a career, they're already asking themselves, what will really make me happy, right? What will really make this journey that I'm going to be on the most fulfilling for me? Yeah, that was just my own reflection. Yeah.
Agree. Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you so much for providing your insights and perspective. As is clearly, it's not going to be set in stone the
Yeah.
entire time. There's so much that can happen that shapes you, that shapes your context. So a great question. Thank you so much. We have a couple of others. Another one saying, what advice would you give someone? What advice would you give to someone who feels like they have too many passions and struggles to narrow down a clear sense of purpose?
Yeah, I mean, I actually don't think that's a problem. I think it's a strength. It means that you're really curious, right? And that you're capable of seeing meaning in different things. And you don't have to pick just one passion for life. Maybe there's a way that you see a common thread through all of them that could help direct your purpose, or just give it time for that clarity to come. Again, a theme that you would have seen in the conversation is that clarity doesn't come overnight. It comes through time. It comes through yourself experiencing more of these different aspects that you enjoy, and then picking up those patterns and that common themes that you see to set direction.
Yeah, and if you don't mind, maybe I can add to. I think, Deepti, when you shared the purpose for the people who presented, like the speakers just now, I thought about it also. Like sometimes, like when you think about, you have so many purposes, or purposes, and it's like that meta purpose, right? Like what, and when you elevate it, I think you talked about Alan, and it was about helping people, right? And I think that goes across, and it probably is in his personal life and his professional life. And for the first person that you share, it's about finding a different way to do something. And perhaps when we think of having so many kind of directions to go in, to ask ourselves, what is that one thing that kind of combines them, right? Like if we elevate it to a level that is not so specific, but rather a little bit more kind of like meta.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely, yeah. Okay, folks, actually don't go anywhere. We do have a couple more questions and the conversations are just getting really, really juicy. But just being mindful of time, I'd like to take this opportunity to invite everyone to accomplish a quick form over here. So first off, thank you so much, Deepti, for sharing your insights, sharing so much industry leaders' thoughts and knowledge and a lot of best practices in not just finding your purpose, but continually examining this and making it something that's not so abstract. It's something that's influenced by a lot of the factors you're seeing from day-to-day life. We're hoping that a lot of you that are still here with us this afternoon can take the time to scan this QR code. This will allow you to provide us with the vital feedback that we need and allow you to get your certificate immediately after filling out this form. So this will take you at most 2 to 3 minutes. It's a quick scan. Please answer just a couple of questions. And while you're doing that, let us know if you're having trouble accessing this, but scan the QR and I will put this link over in the chat. Give me a second. Over here on the chat so that you could easily access this form. But while you're filling this out, we have one more question actually. So just keep those questions going on. Deepti, someone has asked, how do you keep connected to your purpose, especially in a world full of constant distractions?
Yeah, I think that's a good one. It is true, it's not just finding your purpose and then that's the end of it, but it's also then how do you live a life that's true to that so that you can genuinely be fulfilled and happy and proud. And I think there will be signs in how you experience life professionally or personally to show that you're maybe moving away from things. And so it's always when you go through a time that is difficult or being overwhelmed, maybe oftentimes it's because there are certain difficult choices or choices that you've made which may not align to who you are. So those may be signs that, yes, I need to revisit why I am doing what I'm doing right now. Am I doing what I'm doing right now? Does it really give me joy? Is it really the right thing for me? Remember, it's personal. It's not about what keeps everybody else happy, but you and your personal values. So there will be those signs, and you will need to constantly ask yourself. It's just like, it's just like, a meter. It's that compass that will constantly tell you that you're deviating or not. So whenever you have those moments of confusion and you're looking for that sense of clarity, you will then go and look at your compass and see, okay, I'm deviating a little left, and maybe that's why this has happened. And maybe making these changes or taking these actions will help me get back on track and, make things better for me. Nadia, I'd love to hear.
Yeah, and you know that it's kind of evoking for me that analogy of the compass, right? So when you find your purpose, like there's a north that it shows. And all of us that's been with a compass and a magnet knows that if you move a magnet near a compass, sometimes it goes a little bit awry, right? And so to ask yourself, sometimes there is some external forces that might kind of make it difficult for you to see your purpose. But again, to ask yourself, like, how are you going to react to it? Because sometimes it's worth, I think, in this journey of life to pause certain areas that you thought, this is definitely what I'm going to do, to focus a little while on something else. And I think, like a lot of the women that are in a platform will go on to careers, but as women, sometimes there's a time that we need to pause a little bit on perhaps our career to focus on caring for a family member or a child. And that's fine, because later on you can kind of come back to it. And for me, I guess I think about it's about, like, it's not only about being kind to yourself, but also understanding, like, it's a long journey. It's not a sprint, right? This really is
Absolutely.
like a marathon. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
completely agree.
Thanks so much. Yeah, so
Happy
go
to.
ahead.
Are there any more questions, Patrick, on the
There are actually, as we're getting this through, and thank you so much to those who have already accomplished the survey form, folks. It takes you less than 2 minutes to accomplish this. On one of the things that you mentioned earlier, Deepti, someone did have a question related to what others expect. So the question is, what if my purpose doesn't align with what others expect? So how can we make sure that these are our purpose is really ours and not something from external factors and not influenced because of social pressures and things like this?
Yeah, you're really lucky if there isn't a lot of pressure. I would assume that most of us, I think, often struggle with identifying our values and purpose because of this loud noise outside. But again, it is understanding that purpose is uniquely yours and it is personal. You can try and change for society and the family and everybody else, but you are not going to sustain. You're not going to get that long-term joy, happiness, and satisfaction from, just living your life. And again, purpose doesn't confine itself just to your professional realm. It's something that's going to drive you across the different aspects of your life. So it's only for that moment you may make certain adjustments and changes, but you will run out of that energy because it doesn't align with what is internally driving you. So just remind yourself that yes, I can make XYZ happy in this moment, but in the long term, neither are they going to be happy, nor am I. That's just the reality. And there are so many examples around us. And I'm sure if you sort of just looked into your own life and experiences and the times where you made choices for somebody else, you would have seen what a struggle it's to keep up with that, because it's not true to yourself. You don't have to look outside. I'm sure if you look into your own experience, there is also the example of many stories, globally, and you can seek them out to see what has happened when they just listen to society and outside voices rather than their internal drive and their internal why. I hope, again, I'm hoping that helps you sort of think into why that is important, that it is you and yours.
I think I gotta really agree with that. Something that resonated with that is you only have so much energy to be able to do all of this. You can't give that to everyone. And one of the things that, if I could share an anecdote I've seen myself, it's tiring to get tired because of the external factors and so much pressure. Like, you're tired because you're not able to fulfill something, but at a certain point you're just fed up with it. You're tired of getting tired. And it makes you realize, how much do I really care about this? What is this? What do I actually gain from this? How do I actually grow from this experience? You don't want to get tired of getting tired, because that just that that really makes you it makes it a sore sticking point and a very painful lesson learned. But sometimes that's how we do learn. I say that from experience. So might have been unpleasant, but it was necessary. It shapes us a lot. So thank you so much for casting
Yeah.
light on that, DP. Nadia.
I was going to say, Patrick, but like it's also that added layer of it's not only about you, right? Like, because we are in a community that we do have responsibilities to other people. So it's about kind of finding that balance, right? Because if we think if the purpose is only, of course it is internal, it comes from within. But at the same time, to ask yourself, when you think about your purpose, think also about the purpose and how it relates to other people, right? Like, so then, like, I think Alan pointed it out with his thing. Like, a lot of times, purpose also does come from like um, being a good family member, right? Being a good part of the community. So it's definitely not an easy thing to do, but like I think, as Deepti said, to decide what is noise and what is input, like and that discernment between those two, because it's all creating a sound, right? But like the discernment of like, is this something that is going to fuel me, or is this something that is draining my energy? So I liked how you had those lists of things to do, like and it comes from introspection, it comes from asking people who you trust, asking yourself, and I think there's also some professional development resources you can use. But yeah, it's a continuous journey. But I do think that it's a fulfilling one, and I can't imagine anybody at the end of their career or at any point of their life saying, "Oh, I wish I didn't spend so much time understanding myself." I cannot imagine that would be anyone's reflection. So, and I do recognize that we're at the end of the hour. Thank you once again, Deepti, for the conversation, Patrick and Nicole for helping us with all the logistics and everything. Thank you so much to the people who have joined us online today. And yeah, we look forward to seeing you in our next speaker series that will be in a couple of months' time. Otherwise, join the platform and see you soon. All right, thank you so much.
everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Nadia. Thank you,
Thank you,
Patrick.
everyone. Thank you,
Yeah, thanks.
DP. All right. So with that, folks, I think we're capping off the session, and just one last call to take 2 minutes to fill this survey link out. I think at this point we are officially closing our discussions on a very high note with a lot of reflections. I hope that this was also very useful for you. Again, everyone who is here, thank you so much for making time to hear us out and be able to contribute your questions and your insights, but also especially to Deepti, who has shared her insights, really prepared for this session to make it as interactive as possible. Definitely one of the highlights in terms of our STEM ConnectHER series, a speaker series. Thank you also to Nadia and to Nicole. Nicole is working behind the scenes, as well as to our colleagues from our other STEM ConnectHER country leads who are also present in this call. We appreciate all of you very much and look forward to seeing you at our next event. So stay tuned, stay connected. We'll see you then. Thank you, everyone.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. Thanks, Nicole.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone.